step, the clock is ticking, but there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Hello everybody, welcome into Ghost Racing Network, where we are here at the typical location. That's Talladega Superspeedway for the PGR Intimidator Superspeedway Series. There is so many things going on tonight that I could barely get myself here and ready in time, but I am certainly excited, so let's get right down trackside and start the pre-race ceremonies with your starting grid. On the pole tonight is going to be Dale Cup's own Zachary Lima. To his outside, his teammate Steve Korosek. Third is going to be McCall Motorsports' Sean Hill. Fourth, Garrett Maines. Fifth, Brian Bassard. 6 is going to be Kenneth Stamper. He does have a teammate in here tonight. I'm not exactly sure. Actually, I believe the 11 of Brian Bassart is Kenneth Stamper's teammate, sure enough. Moving back, though, to row 4, it's going to be Daniel Eberhardt and Jeff Merck. Row 5, Sean Corbett and Ron Morris Jr. 11th is Mark Vondell. He's got one of the rival team teammates of John Mullahan starting to his outside. Moving back down into 13th position, it's going to be Dylan Jones. He has Larry McDonald to his outside. It's going to be Heath Job in 15th, Danny Eshelman in 16th. Row 9 is going to be Danny Barnes and Jacob Emery. 19th, Nick Fuller. 20th, Michael Triscaro. 21st, Nick Warner. 22nd, Donnie Lyons. Row 12 is going to be Jim Mills and Chris Justice. Mike Davenport and Ryan Wingate make up row 13. 27th, Curtis Rogers, 28th, Jeremy Bailey. 29th, John Ward. 30th, Joshua McCall. And 31st is going to be Daniel Gilligan. And let's get right up front here. Actually, I guess before we do that, let's talk about your race info. Although most of you know where we're at, it is Talladega Superspeedway for the Intimidator Superspeedway Series. It is the Blaster 120 tonight. We are in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Tonight's race is going to be 45 laps with 60% fuel. These guys got unlimited stickers, and that is unlimited tires, of course, if they want them. One fast repair, fixed setups, and there will be a stage break on lap 15 where the top 2 will be getting their money back. Talking more about the track details, the length of the track here at Talladega is 2.65 miles, Giant Super Speedway. Track temp coming in at just over 100 degrees at 107 degrees Fahrenheit. Weather outside sitting at 73 degrees, 27% humidity. Cloudy skies and wind is at 3 miles an hour. And let's go down here to your pole sitter. Give him an extra shout out. We used to do this a lot more often, but we've kind of been skipping it, I feel like. And that is Steve Korsak. We were supposed to have Matthew Baker up here in the booth with us tonight, and we still may get him. Unfortunately, right now he is having a couple of computer issues, and that is why you don't currently see him up here, but we will try to get you some more info as we go on. Let's get into the first, and to be honest, what's probably going to be the main storyline of tonight, and that is the rivalry battle that is set up here between Larry McDonald in the 80 truck and Michael Triscaro in the 34. We'll go to in just a second. And the deal with these guys is pretty simple. 3 races all going to be held here at PGR, so this will potentially take the course of 3 weeks, maybe 2, if one of them sweeps both. So how it works is it's going to be the best of 3 races. The highest finishing of those 2 drivers for the best out of 3 races is going to be going home with $50, and they might even have a couple side bets on qualifying. We will keep up with all of it. Also, I don't remember seeing him on the grid here. We were hoping to see him, but nonetheless, we did get to see in the last race, FEG, Ken McCall Jr. was back tonight racing. That's a great thing. We were so glad to see him out here, and he got the win. Congrats to Ken. But here we go at Talladega for 45 laps. Green flag in the air. Pretty good jump here for Zachary Lima. Him and Steve Korsak are going to try to control both lanes early, but they have a large field of heavy hitters tonight, so that is not going to last for long, especially with that early stage break. 60% fuel will make things a little interesting. Everybody should be good to the end of stage 1, or it would be pretty close, but I'm thinking everybody should be good to go. As Brandon Broadfoot says, let's go 79 crew. Dottie says, let's go number 30. That is Kenneth Stamper. He currently sits in the top 5, hanging around. Him and his teammate were lined up behind each other, and they stay that way. One in a Bengals truck, one in a Broncos truck. The 90 of Daniel Eberhardt behind Jeff Merck, Garrett Main, Steve Korsak still working the outside, trying to get enough momentum to get clear of that bottom. But Sean Hill fighting back, one of the most aggressive pushers in here. And he's showing you why right there. Going back, everybody further back, still remaining 2x2 here as we complete lap 1. It is going to go to Zachary Lima. As his Dale Cup teammate started to get a run, but didn't quite have enough. Robert Rock says, good luck, KSR. Looking in the back here, we do have Danielle Gilligan, 31st, John Ward, 30th, and Jeremy Bailey, 29th, Joshua McCall, 28th, 27th, Curtis Rogers, 26th, Ryan Wingate, and 25th, Mike Davenport. Looking now from the gearbox is Zachary Lima, and you can see it is Sean Hill being about as close as he can. Kenneth Stamper, 3rd truck on the inside, not riding right on Sean Hill's bumper like we see Sean Hill doing to Lima. And that is because you can't really push the pusher, but you see just how tight those guys are riding the yellow. And that makes it a little bit difficult if you are not the leader to sometimes try to line your truck up in good position. The outside usually a little bit easier with that because, of course, you can duck down or duck up a little bit, get a reference, but These guys also talented. They don't really need a reference. They're just going to follow that truck in front of them and hope they keep it pretty straight. Still side by side up front, though. Nobody has made a third lane get working just yet. And just as I say that, looking farther back, it looks like we are going to have one of the PGR teammates. And I can't tell who else that is with him. John Mullihan, he is thinking about jumping in front of these two. He's not going to do it in time. And sure enough, that is one of the fellow broadcasters, Jacob Emery. And he is rocking a 20 truck on the outside line. It looks like that's Michael Triscaro going with him. And looking at your running order right now, Larry McDonald. There they are. Those two are the guys battling each other. Michael Triscaro trying to go by Larry McDonald. Both of these guys do have very respected teams. Team PGR and Team 3 is the team that I believe Larry's on. And they are going to need help from their teammates tonight, of course, to try to be that highest finisher. John Mullihan's trying to jump up in front of Jacob Emery. This time he sure enough is. John Mullihan is one of those Team 3 drivers. Brandon Broadfoot says, beat those Dale Cup guys, please, for the love of God. Well, I'll tell you what. A lot of these guys are going to say if you can't beat them, join them. But here we go, third lane, really stacking up. Daniel Eberhardt's going to throw a block. He had to get in front of Ron Morris Jr. Big momentum swinging around now for this outside third lane. They almost got all the way up. Daniel Eberhardt, no surprise to see him out here leading Steve Korosek. You got to wonder, does he jump down to the bottom if he gets clear? Usually once we see that second and third lane form, the bottom tends to fall off a little bit eventually. But everybody well aware that they have one fast pair tonight and knowing that they are probably going to need it with a field this big. Taking a look at weather, track temp has actually gone up just a little bit here now at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds very calm though at 3 miles an hour, not varying. Actually, they might be varying a little bit, but not by much, if anything, as the direction though is shifting. Up front, Steve Korosek, he knows that he does have that good pusher. Garrett Mates behind him. And you know that if you got Garrett behind you, you're going to be really stable. You don't really have to worry about getting turned. All you got to do is hold the wheel as straight as you can. Cody Nagels has hopped in the chat. He is also rooting for his Dale Cup teammates. And how come you're not out here tonight, Cody? We're used to seeing you out here up front trying to win these things. They are 3 wide throughout the entire field. And we were not kidding tonight when we said things are going to be wild. Lap 5, and they are 3 by 3 all the way back, except maybe the last 4 positions. Steve Korosek still leading in the middle. Daniel Eberhardt up top with Ron Morse Jr. and John Mullihan in tow. At the bottom is Zachary Lima, Sean Hill, and Kenneth Stamper. Taking a look a little bit further back in this mess, Brian Bassard. And Cody says missed the grid literally by a minute. And look at the wheel. He's got to hold it ever so slightly. You see these guys right there. That little bit of a bump on the apron, man, that'll scare you not only as a driver, but if you are the truck next to these guys. But you can see it is hard to see in front if you are not that lead truck. You really got to rely on those trucks in front of you. Sometimes they'll get a chance to see if the other trucks wash up. That isn't necessarily too often. Let's look at the nose cam. One of these guys further back, and they are seeing all the chaos in front of them. Oh, we got one in the wall further back here. And that might have been Curtis Rogers. I'll tell you what, looks like he kept it together. Couldn't exactly tell. We'll figure out who it was, or was it Jim Mills? Take it back, not Curtis Rogers. I thought that was his paint scheme, but no, this is Jim Mills in the 10. Down 6 spots from where he started. A little contact in the wall. I don't think that's going to hurt him too bad. Unfortunately, he might lose the draft. The good news is that he does have the stage break. I want to call it competition caution coming up, so he will be fine. Danielle Gilligan and John Ward sitting back here. I'm not sure if they missed the start or what, but they are a couple more drivers waiting on the caution, but it might be for the best because with as much craziness as going on up here, you may certainly not want to be up here right now. These guys still stand 3 by 3 now. Zachary Lima, though, takes the lead. This is a good chance if he wants to jump up top, but he is feeling pretty comfortable with Sean Hill, and I think everybody that has been up here leading each of their respective lanes have been feeling pretty comfortable. Daniel Eberhardt has now fallen back behind Jeff Merck, who has taken the lead on that top line. Ooh, John Mullihan peeked out, maybe tapped the wall there a little bit down the backstretch. As Cody Nagel says, want me to hop in the booth? I'll tell you what, Cody, I'll get with you on that at the end of the stage here, because right now we have got to stay focused on all the action up front. And further back, normally this is where we say, well, there's a couple split strategies, which I guess there kind of is. Some of these guys that are hanging around too wide. Nick Fuller Watch for him. He is one of those late race threats. Danny Escherman, Danny Barnes, a couple more guys that know how to get it done. Mike Davenport in the 17. Ryan Wingate. Not sure if he has any teammates out here tonight. He might have to look for guys such as Donnie Lyons to work with. Joshua McCall, shout out to him. He does have at least one, I believe a couple actually, of his McCall Motorsports teammates in the field. Yeah, because he has Ron Morse Jr., Sean Hill, and Mark Fondell. But we still kind of call him one of the newer drivers, but doesn't really drive like he's new. He knows how to get it done at tracks like this. And these guys don't want to jinx anything, as Daniel Eberhard has taken the lead back on that outside. Jeff Merck dropped behind Steve Korosek. But I like what I'm seeing right now. These trucks all look pretty stable 3 wide. Of course, we do have a couple guys that look like maybe they're struggling a little bit with their handling. Jeff Merck back to the top now. That's going to put Garrett Maines back to pusher, but Jeff Merck is trying to get clear before the 31 can link up with Steve Korosek. They ran a little bit high in the trial. Well, that gave Garrett Maines all the time he needed to get to the back bumper of Steve. And 10 laps of 45 completed so far here at Talladega. And that is 6 laps to go that last time at the line until the stage break. These guys know that there's some money on the line, and I think I like that idea because it's showing you the racing action. Everybody committed. If you are in the middle lane right now, actually, if you're in any of these lanes, unless you're on the bottom where you can drop out, you're pretty much stuck where you are. And I don't think we're going to be seeing any moves from these two just yet, but I think later on in this race, I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for that 30 truck of Kenneth Stamper. He did have Brian Bassard not too far behind him. In fact, there's Brian in the 11 actually just behind him right now, assuming no one drops down low. And those two KSR teammates, they are going to wait for their chance to pounce. I feel like maybe they wanted to do it. They didn't think we'd get 3 wide this early. But sure enough, we have. And that time at the line, give the lead to Jeff Merck in the 60 truck. Steve Korosek starting to take back charge, though. Sean Hill, he has stayed there from the start of this race, has committed to Zachary Lima, and now is just going to say, we see Garrett Maines get clear. Will he make a move? He does. Up to the top lane goes to the 31. That's going to make the 88 of Heath Joe, the pusher in that middle line. And that chrome 88 Mountain Dew scheme, that's a pretty wild one. Haven't seen one like that before. Zachary Lima and Sean Hill both jump up to that middle line now. That's going to open it up to Kenneth Stamper, the KSR truck on the bottom. Lima now back down low. And boy, that was a close call. These guys are starting to shuffle up a little bit. You can feel that intensity as Steve Korosek slams the door on Garrett Maines down to the outside. Sean Hill leading the middle. Korosek up top. Lima on the bottom. We are starting to shuffle some positions. Looking back here, we got Larry McDonald currently sitting in 10th. Taking a look for Michael Triscaro. He sits in 20th. There's a 10-truck gap separating the rivalry battle. We'll have to find a name for it. If you got a name for it, drop it in the chat. And who you think's winning tonight, drop it in the chat as well. But I'll tell you what, I think it's anybody's race right now. What line do you want to set yourself up in for the stage? Steve Korosek was able to find his way down to the middle line in front of Sean Hill. He's still keeping his teammate Zachary Lima open on the bottom. And remember, with it being the two stage, I don't want to call them both stage winners, because of course there is only one winner. But with it being set up that the top two at the stage get their money back, that is the big reason that you are seeing these guys going at it as hard as they are right now. Sometimes we would normally see maybe a third lane, but I mean, getting your money back, which would be $16 here at the stage break, I think that gives you a chance to be even more aggressive for the rest of the race, because then you don't have to worry about going negative on the night. You get wrecked, so what? You got your money back. But at the same time, a lot of these guys not looking to break even, that's for sure. Sean Hill really starting to play with fire a little bit, but he knows Steve Korosek can handle it. Steve Korosek can handle it as he is trying to push him out of turn 2. Down the backstretch, big run here for the outside and middle line. It's not quite enough to get both clear of Zachary Lima on the bottom. The KSR truck of Kenneth Stamper is going to make a little run now. He's on the back bumper of Zachary Lima. And you see there, when you're in the corners with these trucks, you don't necessarily have to actually be on the guy's bumper. If Kenneth Stamper got Zachary Lima back to the lead there by just being close, there is arrow push with these trucks. And you see Garrett Maines backing up now. I think they are setting up for one more run, assuming no one jumps high, but watch for that black and chrome 77. There he goes, Sean Hill to the top line. 2 to go in stage 1. Zachary Lima still on the bottom. Oh, there's almost some contact. Korosek washes high. The 30 truck of Kenneth Stamper was trying everything to maybe get to the outside. Wasn't quite clear. And man, that was really close to being a big wreck, but they all hold on, and that's going to put Zachary Lima in front of his teammate Steve Korosek. Be interesting to see if he drops back down. Sean Hill, though, is going to go to the middle. Oh, he's going to get hung out to dry here. He is going to fall all the way back to that 88 truck of Heath Joe. Will this give Garrett Maines and Jeff Merck a chance? Garrett is clear of the middle. He stays up for now. He's trying to pull Jeff Merck. Oh, we got a wreck out back. Big wreck out back. No caution. Now the caution flies. And this wreck may not have collected quite as many as I initially thought, but I saw the 80 get turned around into the middle of the pack. And Larry McDonald comes to a halt in the infield grass. He's got pretty significant damage on that truck. Some other guys that were involved in this, the one guy that wasn't was the guy that Larry's racing the most tonight, and that is Michael Triscaro in the 34. Let's take a look back at what happened here. If this is just going to be a push gone wrong, that looks like the 20 of Jacob Emery to his outside. Let's get a chopper view of it. Yep, sure enough. And it looks like this is off of turn 4. Larry. Ooh, yeah, that's going to be some net code too. So you kind of had a couple things going on here. We're going to micro-analyze it the best we can, but overall here, the 20 is coming down. You see he does get below the white line, so the 20 of Jacob Emery definitely is coming down right here. The 80 of Larry maybe slightly comes up, but nothing out of his lane for sure. But with the 20 moving down as much as he did, he might have been trying to side draft the 80, but once he gets here, watch the net code. You see, ooh, actually from that view, it looked like maybe there was a slight bit of contact. Take a look at this a little bit differently here. I want to go to the left front of Jacob Emery. I think got through this. Oh, actually, there you go. But let's see, back this up to where that initial contact was made and see if there was actual contact if we can here. And you see the 20 come down, the 80's starting to come up. I can't tell that they actually ever touched. Boy, it was really, really close, if nothing else. One more shot from the chopper. And see what you can see for yourself. From that view, I never saw contact initially. So I'm going to mark that one down as a net code, and then once they start wrecking, it's on from here. Looks like Larry McDonald did get the worst of it. Oh, the 5, that's Joshua McCall, had nowhere to go. The 17, looks like overall did a pretty good job of sneaking through that. I believe that is Ryan Wingate. And sure enough, that's who that is. Take a couple more views. This is from TV1 here. And there's the 17, and actually, wow, somehow he never made any contact with anybody there. Gonna ride on board here with the 17. Man, you talk about a heck of a job checking up. Wow, how does he do it? Somehow kept it all out of every single guy that he had to avoid there. So we give you one more view of it here. Well, first caution of the night has been thrown, and that is going to end the stage under caution. Looks like your stage 1 winner, and I keep saying stage 1, but I guess your only stage winner is indeed going to be Zachary Lima. We are going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we are going to have probably in-race interviews, I would assume, at least from Zachary Lima, because we're going to go look for him right now, and we are going to see if we can get Cody Nagels up in the booth with us here for a little bit. Be right back. Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, we are going to have Cody Nagels joining us in the booth. But before we go join Cody, we're going to try to get a quick word here with Zachary Lima. Zach, this is Austin of the booth. You got a copy?
10-4 affirmative.
All right, well, you are currently leading the way. It looks like you did indeed get that stage win, but things are getting a little bit crazy. I'm surprised you guys kept it green that long. I mean, I know up front you guys are controlling the field, but further back it was a hornet's nest. What's the game plan for the rest of this race?
Yeah, man, I think we're just going to keep doing the same game plan, try to control the front, work together, and sweat hill.
All right, well, I was going to say I saw the 77 making a lot of moves with you guys, but it seems like throughout different races, you guys will try different strategies. Sometimes we'll see you two try to just line up with each other. Now, I know with the way the stage break paid, you would have liked to probably get both of you or keep both of you out in front like you were trying to do, but as we get towards the end of the race, do you try to line up with your teammate Steve, or do you guys try to just control both lanes?
It kind of depends on if they're pushing behind us. I don't know. It's a lot of factors into that, you know, but for sure we're here to sweat Sean Hill, and he will not win.
All right, well, hopefully he heard it because I believe you guys, but either way, hopefully I'm talking to somebody in here at the end of the race. Good luck.
All right, Cody Bond, good luck.
And we are going to leave them back to the race. We'll hop back over to the actual booth here as you see the pace car pulling off. And now we are joined by Cody Nagels. We'll get with him in just a second here, but we got this restart about to happen here. 17 of 45 complete. And we are not quite halfway, but we are really closing in on it quick. Zachary Lima, Garrett Main's going to lead him to green. Steve Korsek and Jeff Merck going to be in row 2. And looking for the green flag to fly as they roll into the Geico restart zone. We are back green here at Talladega. It looks like it's going to be another pretty even start. Garrett Main's looking to get the lead from Lima, but Korsek is right there. He is not going to allow it to happen. And now we got Cody Nagels up here in the booth. Cody, how you doing?
I'm not doing too bad. Hate it that I wasn't able to make the race, but looking forward to what this race has to offer. And it looks like so far, I mean, between Garrett Main, Zach, and Steve, they have the front part of the field pretty well controlled so far.
Man, that was a really, really close move. Boy, Zachary Lima slammed the door on Garrett Mains. It almost looked like one of those things where you slide across the front bumper of the truck that you're trying to block. And we were just talking to Lima, and he said it kind of depends. Well, right now they're going with the strategy of trying to control both lanes. But we did hear Lima say he is going to be sweating Sean Hill, not letting him have a chance at winning this race.
And you hate to see it too. If you're say you're Garrett right here, and you're the leader of the top lane, and you have somebody move up to try to control, do you go up to the third and try to go around him, or sometimes you have to check up? So it's just a snap decision on what you do, because obviously you don't want to cause the big one.
Well, Garrett Mains, of course, one of the Coca-Cola Series drivers, so he is one of the smartest guys out here. And we saw him kind of play the patience game until the end of that last stage. He knows if he's going to go 3 wide, he's only going to do it if he has guaranteed help. And right now, with the long of a ways as we still have to go, I mean, over 20 laps, he's not going to do anything too crazy just yet. I think he's pretty content sitting behind Lima here. He's got Jeff Merck behind him, though, who I think would certainly go with them as they work their way now through turns 3 and 4.
And I think the move that Garrett would make is also dictated on, is the third lane rolling? As right now, as you see, there is no third lane, so I think the best option for Garrett was to stay behind Zach. Whereas if you have a third lane that's gaining momentum, that gives you the option to go up and try to clear
And
Zach.
we got a big wreck. Hold on, Cody, just 1 second. Big wreck out back, but it's off track, so there's no caution yet. And this is going to collect at least a couple of the big hitters. Looks like the 17 Ryan Westgate and Daniel Eberhardt are both spun around in the wrong direction. Eberhardt, ooh, boy, heavy damage as he's going to get that thing spun around. And that is the second time that we have seen contact tonight, but also the second time where what I thought was going to be a big wreck ended up actually just collecting a couple trucks. Ooh, Daniel Eberhardt gets to the 17's back bumper out of the travel. Looked like he had him pretty squared up, but sometimes when you hit that guy, it just, maybe the 2 trucks didn't line up as well. Either way, that sends the 17 up into the 307 of Nick Warner. Boy, he gets T-boned hard by Daniel Eberhardt. He had big damage. Looks like Dylan Jones nowhere to go, and that's one more truck. I'm trying to see who that is. That's the 52 of Chris Justice, who we hadn't talked much about tonight, but he was doing pretty good hanging around here. And like I said, did not bring out the caution, so that's really unfortunate for a lot of these guys. Who looks like Eberhard has smoke coming out the back, and he is going to have to go in and use a fast spare on that.
And if you're in this lead group right now, I think you settle into the race, let laps wind down, and cross your fingers that, hopefully it stays green from here. Because if I am seeing correctly, there are 14 drivers in the main pack with 3 trailing behind that I think looks like they may be able to catch them. No. Actually, yes, I do believe they did catch them. So I think we're going to have a total of 17 drivers, I believe, in this lead pack. So again, you want to be smart here because a caution comes out, it gets everyone bunched back up.
And yep, sure enough, going to be 17 trucks in the lead pack. Jeremy Bailey is the last of those trucks in the Ford. And then you're going to have to go back a decent little ways here. This is all because of that wreck that we just saw where Curtis Rogers leads the second pack. That's Danielle Gilligan, Danny Barnes, Larry McDonald. It looks like jumping to the outside and is going to fall back here. I believe that is the 10. And I believe that's Jim Mills, sure enough. And then Dylan Jones, Joshua McCall, and Donnie Lyons. And this pack really needs to line up to have any chance. But I think at this point, all these guys that are not in the lead pack are going to need a caution. But, I mean, we still got a green flag stop, Cody. And, I mean, we know those are crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know, as a racer, I like the green flag pit stops because it gives me an opportunity with your team to try to figure out what you want to do to separate yourself from the field. Because again, right now, the field is split up, so maybe the green flag pit stop presents an opportunity to maybe further distance yourself from the rest of the pack. For a lot of teams, it is a make or break.
Well, just when you think they're going to maybe get settled out, maybe start to just tick off some laps until that pit stop, we saw Jeff Merck jump up to that third line. He has help from Michael Triscaro right now, who, by the way, is leading that battle, the rivalry battle, if you will, between him and Larry McDonald. Larry involved in an incident earlier and now running in that second pack, looking like he is going to need a caution right now to have a chance at that 34 truck. But with that pit stop being a case, all it takes is something like Triscaro getting a speeding penalty, and he would fall to the back. He's got to be careful here. But up front, the 2 Dale Cup teammates leading the way. And then it's the 77 and the 31. That's Sean Hill and Garrett Maines. The 30 truck of Kenneth Stamper and the 11, Brian Bassard. It looks like those two have been there pretty much from the drop of the green. And I think at the end we'll see them make some moves. But right now they seem to be comfortable in that 3rd and 4th row.
And up in the 3rd lane, you have Michael Triscaro pushing Jeff Merck, looking to try to make a little bit of headway on the Dale Cup teammates. I believe they're going to need a 3rd to try to get the top lane rolling, but we will see if somebody towards the end of the pack gets a little bit antsy and wants to gain track position before the green flag pit stops start.
Looking back here at 17th position, we're going to look at a gap between 17th and 18th because that is the distance between that second pack and lead pack. And bad news for that second pack is, unfortunately, they are losing time right now by a pretty good rate. Looks like they're losing at least 3/10 a lap right now. And part of that is the racing that's going on. They really need to line it up and try to figure something out. Believe it's, and I'll pull this up later or when I get time here, but the payout tonight, I want to say, was either top 5 or top 6. So being in that second pack, you don't have any chance at the money right now. There's no more stage breaks. And without that caution, you're pretty much racing for nothing right now except bragging rights.
And it looks like the top 5 pay in this race from looking at the flyer right now. It's top 5, and then the top 2 at the stage break got their money back, and that went to Zach and Steve.
And that's actually really good information, Cody, because I saw that Zach had got the stage win, but I couldn't tell who had got second because we had saw the big wreck, which ended the stage. Up front, those two still continuing to lead the way. Garrett Maines showing that patience. Let's give a shout out to the 88 of Heath Joe. I could be wrong, but I don't think he has any teammates in the field tonight. And he is up here running in 5th. Not only is he up 10 spots from where he started, but doing so without teammates. With how competitive these kind of races are, I do want to note Garrett Maines didn't have any of his original teammates out here tonight, so he is working with those Dale Cup boys. And that might be part of the reason that we haven't seen him go 3 wide yet.
Yeah, I do believe they are working together. Normally there's been fairly good chemistry there. I'm curious if he makes the podium to ask him how the chemistry differs from one team to the next and if that affects him.
Oh, Triscaro's in the wall. Huge hit. Triscaro goes for a wild ride. Sorry to cut you off, Cody, but we have another wreck. This time caution is out. And did you happen to see the 34 truck? He went flying.
I'm going to go back here and review this. That was an absolutely wild ride that the 34 took there. If you're the rest of the pack, you really love to see that caution because it gets everyone bunched up, and this is a completely different race now.
And that was one of those wrecks that was so, I don't even know what word you call it, that the game just sent Triscaro straight to the pits. Didn't even give him a chance, but oh my goodness, let's take a look at this. I saw him initially get a bobble, and I was getting ready to say that the 34 is getting loose, but man, out of nowhere, it looks like he's going to get turned here. Let's look at it first here from the chopper view, and we'll back this up to that first wobble. It looks like the 32 is going to get up here and try to give Triscaro a shove. I thought it was an okay shove initially, but then you see, starting to get a little offset to that left side, and watch this. Yep, that's a big hook that turns Triscaro. He somehow holds on, but then the 32 is going to get back into the right rear, and I believe that is Jeremy Bailey. And wow, look at Triscaro's truck. Gets caught by the safer barrier, flies over a couple rows of trucks, bounces on the ground wildly, and see if he just straight up towed himself, actually. That thing was absolutely demolished.
Yeah, that probably blew his motor, obviously, with the hang time that he received. And a lot of times, if you're watching this, I know you probably have a favorite driver or somebody that you're rooting for, whether, it's your boyfriend, husband, father, son, whatever the case is. But a lot of people maybe ask questions about how are these trucks, different from the next gen or the Xfinity car. And I think the easiest way to put it is it's tougher to take a push. As you see, if you get somebody loose in the truck, it's very easy to turn them. It's, if you're running the Xfinity car, pushing's a lot easier, but also at the same time, it's harder to temp manage, where in the trucks, it might be a little easier to manage your temps, but you really have to be careful because bumper hooks are very common.
And that's one of those things where, it's hard. We know that the 32 is trying to make progress and help Triscaro go forward. Unfortunately, though, after that one misstep, that bump that got him sideways, wasn't able to check up in time. And like I said, Triscaro had it initially saved, but he is probably not going to be too happy about that. But one man's unfortune is another man's good fortune. In that case, that's going to be Larry McDonald, because that is going to put him back out ahead in the battle. And that's just how quick things can change at super speedways. Now the thing for Triscaro is how many laps down is he going to go here before he can get back out on track. He is currently scored in last, so I got to believe he has already went at least one down. And not only is he going to have to fight for that lucky dog, but he is going to need potentially a couple cautions depending on just how many laps down he does go.
And a lot of times, if you're in that position this late in the race, you just have to be patient. It's the nature of money racing. Less than 20 laps to go, the drivers are going to get antsy. And to be honest with you, as long as you're no more than, say, 2 laps down, you really and truly have a chance to still get back on the lead lap. If you have a good truck, you can still get in the money. It's super speedway racing, and legitimately anything can happen.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's see if we can get a quick word here from Larry McDonald about what we just saw. Larry, this is Cody and Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do.
Well, we just saw Michael Triscaro get the unfortunate end of a wreck. Nothing of his causing, but like we were just talking about, one man's unfortune is another man's fortune. This is going to put you back ahead of him, but we've already seen you have had to use a fast pair tonight. With as crazy as things have been, what's the plan here to try to stay in front of that 34 truck?
Well, he's 2 laps down. I don't even got to push. I can just run a normal race and stay clean and finish ahead of him at this point.
Well, knowing that you guys are in that battle, is there any thought of, just worrying about the battle, or do you still try to go for the win here, and if you get in a wreck, so be it?
I think I'm so far back, and with this field that's packed, I'm content with just going after the battle, because, don't get me wrong, that other money means something, but I'd rather beat him on a 1-to-1 thing, even if it's less money in the long run.
All right. Well, good luck the rest of the way. Thanks for talking to us.
Yep. Thank you.
And, well, I'll tell you what, Cody, what do you think about that? He's in front of him. He seems to be pretty pleased about it, but he said he's probably just going to have to hang back for the rest of the time.
Just listening to a little bit of the driver chat, Triscaro was able to get out in front of the pace car, so instead of being 2 laps down, he is now only 1 lap down. Still plenty of time left in this race. I could see Triscaro getting back on the lead lap. So if I'm McDonald, I wouldn't take it too easy, because this race is far from over.
I would 100% agree, especially with Triscaro and Warner being the only trucks a lap down, and Triscaro is leading that lucky dog battle right now. Of course, he will have to stay in front of Warner, but let's check real quick here to see if Warner fixed his damage. He did, and Triscaro, of course, did have to use his fast spare, so he will have to be careful, as it looks like he is coming back down the pits here. But let's go up. I wanted to maybe see if we could pull in one more person, as it looks like, actually, we're going to go ahead and hold that thought because they are on the one-to-go signal and halfway down the backstretch. But this restart is in those final 20 to go. I think this is the point where, at one point, I thought maybe this race would end pretty decent. But at this point, Cody, I think it's going to get crazy. And you know what we haven't seen yet, and that is that big wreck that's got to come sooner or later, right?
Oh, absolutely. And if you're not, we'll call it the front 2 to 3 rows. If you don't have the track position you're looking for, sitting in the middle part of that pack might not be the best thing for you. A lot of times, just go to the back if you know that it's gridlocked, you know, or what we call a parking lot. A lot of times the best strategy is just don't be aggressive, go to the back, let the big one happen, and then gain your track position that way. So sometimes patience is key on super speedways, so we'll see the guys that currently don't have track position. I'm going to be interested. Do they want to go to the third lane and push the issue, or do they want to be patient and wait for the big one to happen?
I'll tell you what, if the Dale Cup drivers were not in the position they are right now, I don't think they would agree with you on that sense, Cody, but only because Dale Cup says they like to go as hard as they can on every single driver in here. But with them being the leaders, I do think I like that strategy as you were talking about. Here we go. Pace car pulls off the track. It is going to be 16 laps to go here at Talladega. Big money on the line tonight with that 31 truck field. Who is going to win big tonight? Green flag is back in the air. Looks like Zachary Lima and Steve Korosek get a pretty even jump. Sean Hill gets to the bumper of Lima first, but Garrett Main still hanging tough. And those three trucks working together, I believe they'll probably split the money based on the idea of teamwork that they run over there. So at this point, Sean Hill, with no teammates that close to him, he's looking for help from just about anybody. And he's going to have to watch this third lane because here comes Danny Eshelman down the backstretch.
And as we watch the racers go 3 wide, I do want to give a shout out to Kenneth Stamper. He's been out here a lot of times, I believe, alone before this race, and we have seen the success that he's had. Now he has a teammate in Brian Boussard, so I think he's going to be a factor before this race is all said and done.
Absolutely. Out of turn 4, I've seen them get split up a little bit here by John Mullihan, those two KSR teammates, that is. But Danny Eshelman and John Ward up top. John Ward, one of those drivers that I think plays that ideal strategy that you were talking about, Cody. He likes to sit in the back, wants to stay out of any trouble until it gets closer to the end. And now that we've hit that 15 to go mark, he knows how important track position is going to be. And he has already tried to get up there. It's 3x3 for the first 3 to 4 rows. And it gets a little sloppy, if you will. The guys just aren't really lined up. We see guys jockeying for position. But let's give a shout out to Mark Vondell from McCall Motorsports. He is having a good run right now, sitting, I know actually I take that back, he's sitting in 14th spot, but you see how close he is up here to the front, and when they're 3 wide like this, just making up 1 row of positions, you figure is 3 spots, so it's a good run right now from Mark Vondell, but an even better run from Garrett Mains, who is going to take the lead now on the bottom. Steve Korosek, Zachary Lima up top. Can the KSR truck of Kenneth Stamper get himself clear and have a shot to make a move? What does Sean Hill think about doing here if maybe he can get in front of Danny Eshelman?
It's all a big chess match at this point because you want to be the one to push clear and potentially move lanes because you don't want the teammates between Lima, Korosek, and Mains tonight to be able to control the front. So everybody is jockeying for position to be the car to potentially break up the stronghold that those 3 have right now.
And these guys are really starting to push. You can see the back ends of some of the trucks starting to move around. Sometimes, though, I feel like at a certain point in the race, I kind of experienced this yesterday in the Dale Cup races, you got to kind of decide for yourself, am I going to stick here and try to be a pusher to the end, or do I want to go for the win? I feel like sometimes towards the end, you get in a position where it doesn't matter how bad you want the win, it's just not meant to be in. Let's say we were coming to 1, 2 to go right now. I think if you're that 30 truck of Kenneth Stamper, there's just not really anywhere to go. You could force a 4th lane, but got to believe you wouldn't really get anyone to go with you, and at that point, it's who can push harder and who can get their guy out to the lead. And right now, John Ward continuing to stick it to the back bumper of Danny Eshelman. 13 to go here at Talladega as we stay 3x3.
And a lot of times being in the position of being pushers not too bad when it pays 5 positions. If you're, if you can keep enough temps to be able to push clear, you absolutely do it. But a lot of times temperature is going to become a factor. If you've been a pusher for 7 or 8 laps, you might be too hot to clear, and it sure looks like Steve is content right now with staying in the 2nd lane with his Dale Cup teammate of Zachary Lima.
And we did drop the Discord link to the new Ghost Racing Network. Feel free to check it out. Coming to 12 laps to go here at Talladega. Another thing I want to note is with those full payout positions, it's going to be $100 to the top 3. Let me tell you something. For a $16 entry, that's a pretty impressive payout. That's a decent profit nonetheless. And some of these teams that split the money would like to sweep those top 3 spots. 4th is going to go home with $60. 5th, I believe, was $40, but I know Trisquero did add $20 with no race control to one of those positions, so it might be $60 to 5th as well. And that's some pretty impressive payouts. I think if I was in this race tonight, I might be going for it a little bit more than I usually would.
Absolutely. It makes me even a little bit jealous that I wasn't able to grid in time, but I got to give a shout out to the 6 of Danny Eshelman right now. He's up front fighting with the Dale Cup teammates, being pushed by John Ward. Just a fantastic run by Eshelman and as well as Ward.
I'll tell you what, out back here, we almost had contact between Jacob Emery and one other truck. I couldn't exactly tell who it was, but man, that was really close to bringing out a caution. I got good news and bad news right now for the 34 truck of Michael Trisquero regarding that battle between him and Larry McDonald. The bad news is he is not in position for the lucky dog right now. Right now it goes to Nicholas Warner, who is sitting as the last truck in this lead pack. Back here in 29th, the lap down, Trisquero is not with the lead pack. In fact, he is by himself in 3 and 4, and if he stays that, by the end of this thing, there's a chance he gets lapped as he doesn't really have any drafting partners. The good news is if there is a giant wreck up front, somehow Nicholas Warner gets involved, he won't have to worry about getting involved being that far back, and then he would get the lucky dog.
And it seems like Nicholas Warner is content with being the last car in the pack. He's staying just close enough to where he has the draft. He's getting a little bit of contact to the pack, but if anything happens, he is well behind the pack, and I really don't see a scenario where he takes an X and loses that lucky dog. So I really like the position that Nicholas Warner's in right now.
Larry McDonald sitting back, and you know, if you're out there watching and you're thinking to yourself, well, I mean, the 34 truck got wrecked. That's not really fair. You can't help it. Well, unfortunately, that's part of the bad luck in these things. You got to think about the fact that earlier Larry McDonald got turned off netcode. Nothing of his fault, nothing of his doing. But that is part of what makes the challenge of who is better at super speedways, the challenge itself. Oh, we got one on the wall further back. I think that was Jeremy Bailey, but he does hold it together. Up front, Garrett Main, Steve Korsek, and Danny Eshelman leading the way.
And what I like about super speedways is if you're in Larry McDonald's shoes, yes, you have a very bad, a break, and you're sitting in the back of the pack thinking, man, there's no way I can get in the money. But we see the big one time and time again. They're 3 wide, battling hard. If somebody gets to pinching a little bit too much, it could trigger a netcode, as we have seen numerous times. Guys might get actual contact. One wreck could completely change the complexion of the race for Larry McDonald.
Nick Fuller currently sits in the 11th position, up 8 from where he started. The biggest mover right now is John Ward, up 21 positions from where he started. But these are all the guys that are on that third lane trying to make something happen. I'll tell you what, some nights it feels like that there's kind of that feeling of you think these guys are going to go 4 wide. I'm kind of not getting that feeling tonight. I feel like these guys are running pretty comfortable 3 wide. I think they're going to keep it that way for the most part, especially with some of the guys that you think maybe would be the kickstarters of 4 wide being the leaders right now. And at this point, it just becomes who can be the lead car for each line. Steve Korsek and Zachary Lima, I think they're going to stick together how they are right now, but guess who jumps to the high side with 8 to go? It's Sean Hill in the 77. We know he's a good pusher. Now he's leading. The question is, how good of a pusher can Danny Eshelman be? Boy, it looked like Sean Corbett back there in the 45 truck got really loose for just a second. He was extremely fast in practice. I believe he may have had the fastest time in practice as they're coming up on a lap truck here. This is going to go 4 wide for just a second. It is on the straightaway, but things always get a little scary. Let's see if everybody can get by this okay. Man, a couple guys really had a bob and weave for it. They are going to keep it together, though, into turn 3. Garrett Main still leads.
That was a fantastic job by the pack to get skinny there and get under the lap truck. And I have to try to think that Danny Eshelman's got good temps right now, because Danny was leading there for several laps when Sean Hill jumps up. Lima right now probably doesn't have the best temps. Danny has temps. So I'm thinking Danny should have tried to utilize that and maybe pushed a little bit harder. Maybe he's saving a little bit. Maybe he's got a little bit left to push Sean Hill to the win. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing that.
Could be the case for either one of these guys. I'll tell you what, though. That duo of Lima and Korsek have more hours together on super speedways than I have on all my time in iRacing. So they certainly both know how to manage temps. And although it looks like Lima is just stuck to the back bumper of Steve Korsak, think about the fact that he's been stuck to the back bumper that long without overheating. That tells you just how good of a job he's doing. And you kind of worry about it because you see the outside and the inside, they start to fade a little bit compared to those two. But it all comes down to that final stint between 4 and the start-finish line on the last lap. And you know what we just saw there? And that was Michael Triscaro going 2 laps down. And at this point, he is going to need a caution and maybe another caution to have a chance at it. 6 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. Garrett Main still leading the bottom. Steve Korsak the middle. Sean Hill up top. But that third lane, we've seen them have little stints of momentum, but they really haven't been able to get it going all the way. Down the backstretch here, Jeremy Bailey's making some moves. Boy, if they stay 3 wide this long, I feel like it's got to be only a matter of time till they have a wreck. We keep seeing that outside line playing with fire, just barely touching that outside wall. Joshua McCall, that fourth car, in the middle line. He is trying to make up as many spots as he can to get to his teammate Sean Hill, but don't think he's going to be able to go much farther, being stuck in that middle line.
And this race is going to get very interesting coming down the stretch. It looks like we've talked about, the Dale Cup teammates, I don't believe at this point are going to get separated. So it's going to be on, more than likely, it's going to be on Danny to see if he can clear Sean Hill. I mean, that's the big job that he has. And we'll have to see if he can get it done. And again, we got to keep an eye on Kenneth Stamper because he's staying a little bit off of Garrett. So I'm thinking he might be trying to save a little bit of temps. And if it gets on the last lap and he jumps up in front of Steve right now has nowhere to go. So does Kenneth have enough?
Yeah, and I mean, the main goal all the way into that last lap, if you are that lead pusher, is just to keep any car from another lane jumping down in front of the guy you're pushing. As long as you can do that, there's no need to push it any harder. Save those temps so that the last lap, all the way through 3 and 4, you can get locked onto that guy and push. And another factor that gets drawn into this is how good or how hard can you push that guy in front of you. I think all 3 leaders right now can handle pushing through the corners, but sometimes we see that is where it all goes wrong. We'll have to find out, but it is only 4 laps to go. Don't forget, if we take the white flag under green, then this thing will be official. Oh, Ron Morse Jr. looks like
they are wrecking in the back.
Yep, just as Cody was saying there, we got a wreck in the back, and yellow flag is out. Hold on a second. This is going to change some things up, but it looks like Nicholas Warner's going to sneak through without incident. That's not what Michael Triscaro wanted to see, but looks like this one is going to collect at least a handful of them. Let's go back and take a look where this is going to start. Guess what, though? Larry McDonald was in this crash. I don't know how much damage he got, but that could play a factor. Let's see here. And, oh, Larry was actually an innocent bystander that ran in late. And actually, never mind, he wasn't in the crash. He went through the grass to get through the crash. That's why we had a thing pop up about it. But nice job of avoiding the wreck by the 80. Let's get back to where this initially starts here, though. As, ooh, looks like the 14... Maybe, actually, this starts with the 32.
I'm seeing the 32, and it looks like the 32 goes up just enough, and we've talked about it before with netcode. They never actually touched, but when one car is moving up a track a little bit, iRacing is predicting that the 32 and the 14 are going to make contact. Even though they didn't make contact, iRacing is still saying, hey, these two are going to hit, and there you go. It causes a wreck, and in my opinion, they were never going to touch.
Yeah, I would completely agree. I mean, I was going to say that one really wasn't even close. First of all, he was halfway up his door, not even on his quarter panel, and just turns him. And some of these guys took some big shots. The 14 gets in the wall. Looks like the 65 of Curtis Rogers. I did see Mark Vondell, I believe, took the biggest hit in that 59 truck. Let's take a couple more angles of it here. And, man, you really hate to see that. That's the second wreck tonight, and both wrecks have been caused by netcode. So you can't really say that these guys have been doing anything wrong, especially with the great through-ride race we've seen. But, yeah, there you go. Donnie Lyons gets into Mark Vondell, who just had nowhere to go. The 65, Curtis Rogers, up on 2 wheels. And Danny Barnes, wow, he net-coded through 2 trucks. Holy moly, I don't know how he did that or didn't get any damage from it, but we have got to go right on board with him. And there's Jeremy Bailey, as he also got torn up in the Randy's Barbecue paint scheme. And then you'll see Jeff Merck and Nicholas Warner arrive on scene. I'll tell you what, I've got to ride on board here with Danny Barnes real quick. Take a watch and take a listen. And it looks like he just turned into a ghost real quick as he went through both of those trucks. And he was probably thinking to himself a split second before that happened that he was done. His race was over. And just like that, he somehow opens his eyes and is through it. It's one of the craziest things I have seen in a while. Sometimes you'll get lucky and net cut through one truck, but not usually two. All right, Cody, here we go. It's going to be our first overtime. We got Garrett Maines leading, Steve Korsek second, but Zachary Lima and Kenneth Stamper have switched positions now. What do you think here?
I might be a little bit biased, but I'm feeling like if you're a Dale Cup driver, you must be feeling pretty good. But I have to say, Kenneth Stamper, again, he is up front. It seems like when it comes late in the race, who do you see? Kenneth Stamper is always a factor. Question is, does he have enough help from the drivers around him? Looks like we have Sean Hill up front. We have John Mullahan up front. Them guys, it is crucial. They're going to have to work together if they want to beat the Dale Cup group right now, because Dale Cup has 3 of the first 4 spots on lockdown. But again, if the drivers around them can kind of, work together for a couple laps, they might have something for them.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm watching here, and it looks like Triscaro may have gotten a lap back, because it has only shown him 1 lap down now. And with Nicholas Warner getting the lucky dog, I believe that should put Michael Triscaro back in position if we were to see another caution, which is very likely here. And I'll tell you what, boy, actually, hold on just a second. No, it is still showing Nick Warner a lap down. However, he should be the lucky dog. So I believe he got back up there. The scoring, of course, will sort itself out once we get green, so we'll check back in on that. But going over your current top 10, it is going to be, so we put the track map away for you, Steve Korsek, followed by Garrett Maines, 3rd, Kenneth Stamper, Zachary Lima, 4th, Sean Hill, 5th, John Mullahan, 6th, 7th, Heath Joe, again, a heck of a job. Hats off to Heath tonight. Danny Eshelman, 8th, 9th, Brian Bassard, Joshua McCall up 20 spots is rounding out that 10th position. Going over overtime rules, if we do see the white flag fly, then we will finish this thing no matter what happens. However, if they all pile up and the caution were to fly before we take the white flag, then we will rack them up and do it again. And I believe there are 3 green-white checkers, and this is where everybody fights for the money. Go ahead, Cody.
Oh, I apologize. I was saying I can confirm there are 3 green-white checkers in the race.
All right, well, there you have it, 3 green-white checkers, and I'm looking at the way it's lined up here, and I think it's still in favor of the Dale Cup group. If Kenneth Stamper, actually, I've come to think of it, it may have worked out better for him if he would have been 4th, because the way it's set up right now, what would have initially been maybe Steve Korsek being in danger of losing that position, now he's got his 2 teammates to his outside, and you know that 30 truck isn't really going to have anywhere to go. So now it's going to be up to John Mullahan, Danny Eshelman, and anyone behind those 2 to get that 3rd lane going, and I think you're going to have to get it going right away, especially with how strong we've seen those 2 be so far tonight.
And I completely agree with you. Any kind of run that they're going to have for Dale Cup is going to have to be as soon as the green flag drops. You don't want to wait till the last lap to build up a run for Zach, Steve, and Garrett. If I'm anyone else behind them, I am linking up, and as soon as they cross the start-finish line, I'm going to go. If I can find my way to the top, that's where I'm headed.
And the next place that Ghost Racing Network heads to, for anybody that's curious, is on Monday, unless I'm missing something. Of course, I usually set the schedule on Saturday, but Noma, I do believe, has an off week this week, but on Monday we do head back to the Fast Track Sim Racing Cup Series for the I guess technically 3rd short track of the season, but it is the high bank short track action that we get at Bristol Motor Speedway. And those guys always put on a heck of a show in the Open Setup Series, so make sure you go check that out. If you are tuning in tonight, we appreciate you being here. It's not too much to ask. Give us a like, give us a follow, and feel free to leave a comment. Check out the Discord. Any of those things help us out. But Steve Korsek, Garrett Maines, going to be trying to help each other out here to win this thing. And if they are all splitting the money, then I think right now they are comfortable where they stand. I don't think we'll see much movement from those 3. But here we go. The pace car pulls off the track. Overtime number 1. It all came down to this. And it is about to get exciting. Grab a seat. Get ready. Rolling into the Geico restart zone slowly. Not quite there just yet. Actually rolling through the tribal. But in that Geico restart zone, Garrett Maines looks like he is a little bit ahead right now of Steve Korsek. Green flag is out. This could be the last one here at Talladega. Looks like a pretty even jump. Watching for that 3rd lane. The 10 truck of John Mullahan is already sizing up a run. And we'll see if he does it down into turn 1. Further back, looks like Ron Morse Jr. is jumping out with Jeff Merck behind. 27 in the 31 of Garrett Maines, still hanging side by side off of turn 2. Kenneth Stamper nowhere to go. Now we see Dylan Jones to the outside. A lot of bobbing and weaving. Can these guys hold? Oh, we got one in the wall. Ron Morris Jr. Can they save it? They can't. We got a couple going around on the back. More contact. Caution is out. The 45 of Sean Corbett was in it. The 87, I believe that's Danielle Gilligan. Big hit. Caution is out, and this is going to change some more things. Let's see what happened here. This is going to
be... I apologize. I just want to point out real quick, I do believe that Michael Triscaro might be eligible for the lucky dog.
And that's exactly what I was looking at. I think you're right, but no worries cut me off there. That's the information we like to hear, but let's see if we can find where this is going to initially start, and then we'll go to the chopper view to look at what exactly happened. Looking from the blimp cam, it's going to be a stack up, and there you go. Ron Morris Jr. and Jeff Merck actually do get together. This time it was not netcode. Ron Morris Jr. bounces off the outside wall. Danny Barnes not able to get checked up. He gets into Jeff Merck. Ron Morris Jr. coming back down, collects. Oh, Larry McDonald got contact. He did get turned around. If he doesn't get hit anymore, I don't think that damage is going to affect him too bad. Sean Corbett, though, gets hit by Donnie Lyons, who had nowhere to go. Boy, rough night for the 79. Heck of a guy, but, man, just not been working out tonight. And there's the 45, Sean Corbett making more contact. Meanwhile, on the other end of the stick, you see that 34 truck rides the high line, and it looks like he gets through. And here's where we're going to see that big hit from the 87 truck. Boom. All 4 tires off the ground, and it is going to destroy the front end of that thing. Give you a couple more views of it there. Just... that's what happens in these wrecks. And I mean, you know, late in the race, we know that everybody is going for it, and that was just the case here. Ron Morris Jr., nothing he was trying to do wrong. He was trying to get up. Unfortunately, just wasn't quite clear, and it was on after that. But I'll tell you what, Cody, it doesn't look like Larry got too bad of damage. He did get hit in the side and the rear, but that was it.
No, Larry's completely fine. I'm just going to be interested in how the race shakes out between Larry McDonald and Michael Triscaro, because we know, as you had mentioned earlier, they do have a friendly wager going on between them, and it looked like for the majority of this race it's been advantage Larry. But now you got Michael Triscaro back in the mix if he does indeed get that lucky dog, which I do believe to be the case. We'll keep an eye on that. If he does, it's going to be a wild finish between them two.
Absolutely. Looks like Dylan Gonis says in the chat, amazing work in the booth, gentlemen, so they must like you in here, Cody. We do have 21 watching right now. Garrett Maines is still leading the way. Second, Zachary Lima. Third, Steve Korsak. Fourth, Kenneth Stamper. And this is kind of what I was talking about. This is going to switch those spots, so now he will have a chance to take that third lane. And I mean, at this point, I'm not trying to be biased, but I would really like to see Kenneth Stamper have a shot at the win here, because all night he has been up in that top 5 battle, but he's been trapped on the bottom. He's had nowhere to go, but he's been patiently sitting there and waiting for an opportunity like this, which is going to arise here on our second chance at overtime. But I think the real battle, I'm not going to lie, that a lot of these viewers are probably going to be keeping an eye on is going to be these two, and that is the 80 of Larry McDonald and Michael Triscaro, who is being shown, well, actually not back on the lead lap just yet. And let's see if it shows Nicholas Warner a lap down. Cody, do you have any more information on that?
I am waiting to see it. It still shows Nicholas Warner a lap down. I believe Nicholas Warner is sitting behind Michael Triscaro right now. I believe when they cross the start-finish line, Michael Triscaro should be getting waved around the pace car.
And I'm assuming we maybe just had some guys come to a stop here, as our data was telling us that we did. Just checking on it, and it looks like, sure enough, that's all it was. Sometimes we got to check on it because that either means there was a wreck or just guys doing something abnormal. In that case, it was just them checking up a little bit. And I thought Nicholas Warner was going to get the lucky dog on the last one. So I was kind of confused why he was still a lap down, but I know we'll have it all sorted out once we go green. Let's just theoretically, of course, say that they do both end up on the lead lap. Then in that case, let's say that was Triscaro who got the lucky dog. That would put Triscaro at the end of the longest line, and Larry McDonald would not be too far ahead of him. Boy, that would make things interesting if that's the case, but now it looks like Triscaro's coming to a stop here off at turn 2. I'm not sure what's going on.
I am really confused at what's going on, and I do know from a racer perspective, if you are eligible for the lucky dog and you come to a complete stop, you lose that lucky dog. So I really don't know what's going on right now.
Well, me neither, but looking back here, this is under caution. You see Heath Joe gets in the trial grass, comes back up. Almost got into Joshua McCall. Maybe he's sleeping a little bit at the wheel, but both guys gathered up. Boy, that is one that they'll laugh about after, but in the moment, they were probably not too happy, or Joshua McCall, rather, was probably not too happy. Yeah, Michael Triscaro is still slow. I'm not sure if he tried to get a lap back that he wasn't supposed to.
I do have an update regarding that. I heard just in the racing chat, Michael Triscaro went into pit, and apparently his fuel did not take, and I think that might have had to do with the recent update with the auto fuel. I think his auto fuel was still checked, and because we're in overtime, I don't think it. I'm guessing that his auto fuel wasn't taking any extra fuel, which might be the reason, because I believe he's out of fuel right now. So that is a really, really rough break. But I know a lot of drivers are still getting used to that new auto fuel option that they have to their disposal, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and they try to turn it off after every stop. Because you're not taking any additional fuel for a green-white checker. I do believe Michael Triscaro did run out of fuel.
And I think you're completely right, and that is a tough break because he had to tow, so everything he just worked for is going to go back down the drain. I mean, crazier things have happened, so we won't roll it out just yet, but with where he was on the track, that's a long tow time, and with us coming back to green right here, he's going to go at least one down and potentially two, just not what he wanted to see. But Larry McDonald is certainly liking that right now because it puts him in good position to just ride this thing on out. He currently sits in 21st, but now we're going to focus forward and focus on what is going to be the battle for the win. Boy, Lima looks like he is ready to go. He is already on the back bumper of the 31 of Garrett Maines, but this is Kenneth Stamper's chance, and we are kind of rooting for him up here in the booth. I feel like we love Dale Cup, but we certainly know that they know how to get it done. Kenneth Stamper knows how to get it done, but this is the first chance he's really had at it tonight. And he's got two McCall Motorsports trucks lined up behind him, so we will see what he can do right here.
And as we go green, keep an eye on Kenneth Stamper behind him. He's got Sean Hill, Josh McCullough, looks like Dylan Jones, several drivers. Steve might be a sitting duck. I'm going to be looking for Garrett Maines to jump up to the second lane in front of Steve very quickly.
Green flag back in the air. 2 laps to go again here at Talladega. Larry McDonald gets right on the apron, and he looks like he just wants to get out of any potential chaos. John Mullane didn't get a good restart. That's going to hurt Steve Korsak, but Garrett Maines, using that excellent teamwork, is going to jump right to the top side, and now this all falls into the hands of Kenneth Stamper. You know Sean Hill's going to go on the backstretch. Here we go. The 30 is looking high. He's got to pull out if he wants to go now. And he's not going to do it in time. Sean Hill actually takes the position, and he's got help from McCall Motorsports teammates, and then Daniel Eberhardt, Mark Von Dell up there as well. Here we go. These guys are all settling in to what is going to be their final resting spots for this white flag lap coming up. It looks like Zachary Lima still leading the bottom. Garrett Maines in the middle line. Steve Korsak pushing Garrett. The third lane is kind of faded here. They might give Kenneth Stamper one more shot at it, but they quickly close the door on any opportunity. Oh, we got one almost getting loose. That's Kenneth Stamper. He holds on. White flag is in the air. One more lap around.
Oh, we're going to go 4 wide. Kenneth Stamper. Nope. Go ahead.
Oh, my goodness. That was so close. I think we did go 4 wide for just a second, but they all held on and got back to 3. That really helped the momentum of the top 2 lines, but it's not enough to put Sean Hill out in front just yet. Down the backstretch, though, here for the final time. Larry McDonald, it's showing wasn't a crash, but I don't think that's going to matter. We'll keep an eye on it later, but here we go. Final pushes from everyone. John Mullane might be geared up for one more big shot. Oh, we got a little contact crashing out back. Kenneth Stamper's in it. It's going to collect everyone 5th on back, 6th on back. Huge wreck, but up front, it's still 2x2x2. Zachary Lima on the bottom. Garrett Maines up top. Here comes Sean Hill and Josh McCall into the trial for the final time. It could be a photo finish. The 77 now side drafts. He's got one more run up top. It is going to be enough at the line. Garrett Maines wins it. Man, that got really, really close at the end. I thought the 77 maybe had enough to get him, but Garrett Maines wins it with the push from Steve Korsak.
Yeah, that was an absolutely great run there by Sean Hill. That third lane, even with the wreck, you think with the wreck, it's just gonna. I would normally give the advantage to either the lower lane or the middle, but man, that top lane with Josh McCullough pushing had a lot of momentum, and it was a very, very close finish. Fantastic.
Absolutely, and while Garrett and Steve come around here, let's go take a look at what happened. Some of those last lap incidents. Let's see here. It looks like for the first wreck, this is Larry McDonald. Looks like He's just gonna, is he just gonna come to a stop? Yep, sure enough, he is. Not exactly sure what. Yes, Larry just came to a stop on the last lap. I wish I could tell you what that was about. Maybe we'll find out. But then taking a look at this big wreck, this was the one that everybody was probably looking at, the turn 3 accident. Let's see how this starts. And I saw Kenneth Stamper. Wow, and it looks like, wow, the 30 ended up upside down. But taking a look here at the chopper view of it, see the contact initially occurs, and I think the last lap, for the most part, anything goes. Guys usually not going to be able to get too mad at each other because they know everybody is trying to go for the same real estate at that point. But it looks like it is going to start here with Kenneth Stamper. He gets shoved out of line a little bit by Dylan Jones. Yeah, a little bit of a check up there. That's 4 trucks. That, yep, sure enough, that shoves the 30 up into Daniel Eberhard, Dylan Jones' teammate, the 55, Mike Davenport, back into the 30. Eberhard actually blinks, disappears here for a minute. And then there he goes, reappears at the worst time as him and the 30 get more jumbled together. Big hit into the wall, and then he goes upside down. Daniel Eberhard airborne up into the catch fence. And that's a big hit for the 90. And then oncoming trucks, nowhere to go. The 88, Heath Joe, he is going to get collected as well. The 90 finally comes back on all 4. So does the 30. But you can see everybody still wrecking out back. Let's take a ride on board of that wreck here real quick with Kenneth Stamper, because, boy, he went for quite the ride. And then we will check on this finish. Watch this. See, he'll get the initial bump, boom. And at that point, when they're 3 wide, there's nowhere to go. Almost saves it, not quite. And then at that point, you might as well just let go of the steering wheel. Man, that sucks for Kenneth Stamper because he was having a heck of a night. Then we go back up front here to the checkered flag. These guys all recovered good enough, and here we go. The bottom at this point, you kind of figured was out of it. Just no run, and we know the bottom doesn't get a run. But right here at the top, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Sean Hill got a side draft. I think the thing that may have cost him it was just his teammate wasn't lined up as square as Steve Korsek was on Garrett Maines there. That side draft seemed to start to pull him back, but then the push wasn't centered. And that allowed Garrett Maines and Steve Korsek to make one last charge, and that was all they needed. And that is how close the margin of victory was. Showing here that it was, I believe, 4/100ths of a second. That's pretty close. And I'll tell you what, let's go now and see if we can pull in your top 3 here. I'll tell you what, it's always a fight to get your top 3 in here. I figured by now these guys would know it, but here we are trying to find them. Anyway, we're going to do it out of order because of the way they're set up. But either way, we are going to get your top 3. Let's start first with second place finisher Sean Hill. Sean, this is Austin and Cody up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
Well, it was a pretty crazy crash on the last lap, and it set up for a tandem battle of 3 lanes, and you were so close. But what do you think cost you the win there at the line?
Just not having that third person in the high lane, man. I mean, Josh was doing a hell of a job pushing me there. It's his first race back in a little while, so he was doing an amazing job.
All right, well, either way, second with tonight's payouts means that you are getting the same as the winner, $100. So congrats on that finish. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, thanks to everyone at McComb Motorsports for helping me out tonight. Big thank you to Triscaro for putting this race on, and you for a hell of a broadcast.
All right, thank you, Alex. Appreciate talking to you. That is second place finisher Sean Hill in the 77 truck. And we are going to go find your third place finisher and winner tonight. Give me just 1 second here. So we drag them in.
Hey, Steve, this is Cody in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you, Cody. What's up?
Oh, not too bad. A little bit of a different view for me watching you in the race tonight. So I know you guys haven't had the best luck the last couple weeks in PGR. How were you able to get your luck turned around tonight?
I think the key was staying out front and being ahead of the wrecks. We were just able to really control the lanes and be there the whole race. So it was a good one this time. I'll take good luck and get it.
Well, absolutely, and I know you're looking to build a little bit of momentum going into the weekend. So before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for the broadcast. Shout out to PGR for putting on the league and the drivers that are in it. It's really competitive. One of the good leagues going on. And I got to thank Dale Cup. And special shout out to Jimmy Crow if you're watching.
And that is your third place finisher tonight, Steve Karosik.
All right, and now we will bring in and talk to the winner tonight, Garrett Maines. Garrett, got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, I mean, can you really be that excited anymore after as many times as you keep winning? You get it done again here tonight in another thriller of a race. And after you saw that big crash in your mirror, I'm assuming you probably saw that there was 2 trucks in each lane. What were you thinking?
Well, to answer your first question, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't still getting excited about winning some money. So it's been a lot of fun racing. And this race was, I mean, throughout the whole thing, especially in the stage, like that was a brawl. Any move you made, somebody was, trying to make another one based on it. And we were able to just continue to cycle back to the front. We got fortunate with the caution not coming out on the backstretch on that final green white checkered. I thought we might be toast. We were literally like on fumes. I barely made it back around, but yeah, that all fell in our lap there at the end. We were just in the right place.
Well, I'll tell you what, Cody kind of had a question that we kind of wanted to ask you earlier about. We know you were working with the Dale Cup guys tonight. They're not your usual teammates. And how different is it trying to get the chemistry working with one team when you're used to a different one?
Oh, they know the same playbook. It's really easy to work with Steve and Zach. They already know what's going on, and it's a lot of fun, getting to race with them. I felt bad because Eberhardt actually was messaging me. He wanted to run tonight, and I just didn't see him on because obviously, when my dad and I race, we'll run with them as well. And they just weren't in the Discord, and I was like last second getting home, and so I checked the Discord, didn't see them. I saw Steve and Lima, and I was like, well, I guess I'm running with them, and I get in here and I see him. I'm like, oh, this is awkward. But it sucks, but I mean, I can't complain. We did a phenomenal job as a team tonight, working together, and I feel like everybody did what they were supposed to do. And I mean, we were up there the whole time, so props to them.
Boy, isn't that the truth. Well, before we let you go and enjoy your winnings tonight, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give a huge shout out to Cover Seal, Bucked Up, MCU Body, Linux, FGR Excel, Ryko, Victory One, and everybody that has helped me in the Coke season. And another shout out to Lima and Korosek there for all the help in the race. That was a phenomenal job.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Your winner tonight, Garrett Maines in the 31 truck. And we will go now. I'll tell you what I wanted to do initially here was I wanted to get an interview from Larry McDonald because he won the first race, the battle between those two, the friendly rivalry, as Cody called it. But what that means is next week, Triscaro is in a must-win, well, not a must-win, but must-finish higher than Larry McDonald's situation. If he doesn't, that would mean that it would go to Larry. However, I know Triscaro is not going to give it over that easily. It's going to be exciting. And I'll tell you what, Cody, I'd almost like to see that little battle change between different drivers throughout the field because I know we got a lot of guys that really would like to rival each other and do little bets like that.
Yeah, I'd have to second that. I don't know. Hopefully their little friendly rivalry will kick in maybe some other friendly bets between drivers and maybe even teams. Maybe we'll get some side bets going on. But I did enjoy watching the whole thing shake out. I'm going to be looking forward to hopefully more of the same next week.
Absolutely. Well, let's go over the finishing results before everybody does jump out of here. Winning tonight was Garrett Maines, second, Sean Hill, third, Steve Korosek, fourth, Zachary Lima, fifth, Joshua McCall, heck of a run by him. 6th, John Mullahan. 7th, Brian Bassard. 8th, John Ward. 9th, Dylan Jones. 10th, Danny Barnes. 11th, Jeff Merck. 12th, Jim Mills. 13th, Sean Corbett. 14th, Mike Davenport. 15th, Curtis Rogers. Danny Esselman, 16th, Ron Morris Jr., 17th. And it's going to be Kenneth Stamper in 18th. 19th, Daniel Eberhardt. Rounding out the top 20 is going to be Heath Joe. Mark Vondell, 21st. 22nd, Larry McDonald. 23rd, Nicholas Warner. 24th, Ryan Wingate. 25th, Michael Triscaro. 26th, Donnie Lyons. 27th, Danielle Gilligan. 28th, Nick Fuller. 29th, Jeremy Bailey. 30th, Jacob Emery. 31st, Chris Justice. That is the last truck, of course, in the field tonight. I want to personally thank everybody that came out tonight. It was a fun one. I want to thank you, Cody, for being up here in the booth. I hope everybody did enjoy. And I guess any other final notes before we let him go?
I really don't have anything other than hopefully this time next week I can be a driver. As much as I enjoy being in the booth, and it was a pleasure, just seeing the quality of the racing tonight, knowing this is definitely one of the best money leagues out there. I want to be able to sit in the sim rig next week and see this from a different perspective. But from calling the race tonight, it was an absolutely good one. I hate to see Netcode take over in a couple wrecks, but very high quality race, and I don't expect any less anytime I see a PGR race.
Couldn't agree more. And of course, Cody has a Twitch, and if he is racing next week, you guys can go watch him from his in-car view. Make sure you go to check out Cody Nagels on Twitch. That is all from me, the Green Ghost, here on Ghost Racing Network. Until next time, have a good one.